All right, we are live on YouTube and TikTok. Let me post the live everywhere. One minute to market open. So let's do this. Okay. Currently at open here, we can see that we are below our VWAP and our 200 EMA up here. So right at this area, we also just broke below our point of control, or our previous day point of control. So technically it's a good area for shorts. Like, we could see a bunch of resistance up here, especially after taking Friday's session high right here. And we've seen selling ever since, so we could see resistance up here. If price wants to come back up into this area and test that area, we could see selling from right there. So just mark that out. Potential short area right up here. So hang on. Potential short area right here. I want to see further confirmation. I want to see some sort of reaction up here. This is a 5-minute chart on ES, by the way. So we have our previous day point of control, this blue line right here. I don't know, let's turn on. Previous day point of control and our current day point of control. So the previous day one is this top blue line. The current day point of control is the bottom blue line. Currently we're trading above both those points. So I want to see what happens here. If we reject here, form some sort of bearish gap off of this area back below our previous day point of control, I do want to look for a short, but right now Kind of went into the day with a bullish bias, so I want to see what happens at this area. So if we can like break and hold above everything here, I think it's, you know, longs up into high of day. So that's what we're looking at. Let's change that to 250. So this is strong opening move here. Strong opening move. Broke back above previous day point of control. Current day point of control. Right now we're at VWAP and 200 EMA. We're at the gap that broke below our VWAP and 200 EMA. We've been trading above them all session until right about now we're breaking below them. So potential for this could just be this break below could just be a liquidity sweep, and now we could break back above and head to the high a day. So watching for that, but right now it looks like we're rejecting. Right at that midpoint. So at that midpoint, right at where VWAP and 200 EMA, wow, what a reaction. I had that marked out, did not take it. It's just too early. That's off the opening jump right there. Tough to take that trade, but it's printing right now. So this gap right here, this is the gap that broke below VWAP and 200 EMA and pushed us below point of control or previous day point of control. And look at the strength behind that gap right there. Huge reaction off of it. What would this be at already? Already at like a 1.5 to 1? Yeah, crazy. Curious if this wants to, you know, or you take it right at that previous day point of control. 6-point stop. What is that? 8. Rejecting off that previous day point of control. So we came up, tested the gap that broke below 200 EMA and VWAP. Huge reaction off that area. Previous day point of control at 777, 7.25 is now rejecting off of that area. We'll see how, if this wants to continue to sell or if we break above. break even would be at new lows. So once again, tested this gap that broke the VWAP. So this gap right here, up here from, what is that, 7779 to 7781.75. Rejection. Previous day point of control right here at 7777.25. Entry. Break even levels at new lows. Targeting low of day. So what's NQ up to? Oop. NQ rejecting. Where's our previous day? So testing, NQ just now testing that previous day point of control. So let me mark this out. So previous day point of control, NQ is currently testing that area. Also tested this bearish gap right here that broke below our 200 EMA, seeing rejection off that, right off the jump here down into that previous day point of control. Now it looks like we're holding below that area. So NQ is seeing some selling. So here's that previous day gap. Not previous day, sorry. Gap that broke below 200 EMA and VWAP. Tapped into it right here. Down to that previous day point of control. It's a really solid setup. All these are happening right at open though. Super tricky to you know, jump into something like that. Gold is chopping. Gold had a nice break below. So right here. It's a nice little short setup, breaking below the previous day point of control. Take it down into your VWAP 200 EMA area. NDZ, good morning. Happy Monday. We have about 3 minutes left on this 5-minute candle and our opening range is established. But right now rejected hard off of this bearish gap right here that broke below our 200 EMA and VWAP. NQ testing our previous day point of control. So NQ testing that previous day point of control right now, below VWAP and 200 EMA. See what YM is up to. YM is chopping pretty hard right now. It's looking like it's trying to break above. So we'll keep that in mind. So YM swept session lows down here. Seeing a good reaction. Starting to disrespect bearish structure. We'll see what happens if we create a gap and hold above our 200 EMA. It could go up to. There's a lot of stacked highs right here that price might want to look to take out up here. So a lot of stacked highs up here. Oops. Gold holding VWAP and 200 EMA. NQ showing support on that previous day point of control, so we just wicked it on the 5-minute chart. Lower volume on this candle though. There's our opening range. Let's change this color out. So our opening range midpoint and the previous day point of control are perfectly aligned, which is interesting. Let's mark out our opening range on NQ. Let's lock that. Lock that. Okay. Once again, holding below 200 EMA and VWAP right now. Whoa. Keeps rejecting that previous day point of control. Big wall at 773 on SPY. Yeah. Previous day point of control is right there. So like right there. What's your previous day point of control on SPY? Where's our EMA at down there? Well, we'll see if it breaks above. It's just that holding that previous day point of control. That's where that wall is. A lot of eyeballs on that level. We're also below VWAP. Oh, there's a little break. Trying to push. NQ tested that previous day point of control, seeing some displacement off that level, which also lines up with the take of low of day or session lows over here. See if we can get above 200 EMA and VWAP. It's going to add an alert there. Testing this gap again. So testing this gap on our 5-minute chart. This gap broke below 200 EMA and VWAP. So we're testing that gap again, which is right at VWAP. We'll see if that provides selling, but yeah. I'm heading into today. I do have a bullish bias, so I wasn't super comfortable with shorts. I mean, this short right here at that midpoint of the gap that broke below the EMAs, you know, printed out a 1.6 to 1 right off the jump. But, you know, obviously I didn't take that because it was right at open. But I do have a bullish bias going into today. Our hourly is bullish. Big reaction there, sorry. Big reaction on the retest of that 200 EMA, our yellow line right here, and the midpoint of that bearish gap. Five-minute gap forming on NQ here after the retest of previous day point of control. Could be a bullish signal. Once again, our previous day point of control on NQ is this bottom blue line. This bottom blue line is the previous day point of control. NQ seeing a nice reaction off that area. Additionally, we took our session lows. But the issue is we're below VWAP and 200 EMA right now. Yeah, huge reaction there. Oh, see, look at ES right off that midpoint of that bearish gap. Just didn't trust it. Nice gap on GC here. Rejection of the 200 EMA and VWAP on gold. It's a no news Monday with CPI this week. So right off the open here, you can see how, look at this 5-minute chart of just wicks in both direction. A lot of, you know, indecisiveness. It's just a no news Monday on CPI week. It's, you know, it's just a lot. going to be a tricky 2 days before CPI on Wednesday. It's going to be a tricky 2 days in the market. So patience, patience, patience. That is the only thing that I'm focusing on, you know, heading into this week. Equal lows down here on ES right at that 15-minute opening range low. Good game plan, yeah. No news Monday and a no news Tuesday. That's insane. Going into CPI week, no news Monday, no news Tuesday. It's just this price action is going to take a lot of accounts. I can already see it. People are going to be just blowing accounts left and right, trying to trade, you know, a lot of these moves during this, you know, it's just going to be tricky. I'm going to be active in the market. I want to be active, but I'm going to be very selective with my setups. And I might just be half risk, honestly. De-risk a bit, take my plays, and then just, you know, wait till CPI. And then when CPI is there, you know, then gets back to business as usual. But lately, CPI has caused a lot of volatility in the market, so just being aware of that heading into this week. Big bearish gap on gold here. Potential setup on gold right here. Yeah, look at this. Like this, the price action on ES, just let alone right now. Huge wick at open, boom, and then this massive wick too that we just printed on the 5-minute chart. I don't even want to know what the 1 minute looks like. Yeah, look at the 1 minute chart. This is classic, you know, no news Monday right here with massive data coming in on Wednesday. So selective, selective, selective. Seen a nice little push here. Still no gaps made. I mean, this is very choppy right now. Dang, gold is dumping. I'm seeing a long, if break out of the 15 orb, it would be over 9 and 21 EMA as well. That's 773, push 7775. Yeah. I like it, NDZ. Break out of the 15 orb. Be over 9 and 21, yeah. As well as that point of control wall. What do we have? I like it. Starting to see it move too. Just the wicks though. Yeah, call it the play before taking it for sure. Like you got to kind of like tell yourself the story. You know, as long as you like walk through your things and you like tell yourself the story and you're like, okay, yeah, and you like walk through and you just remind yourself of everything that you need. You're like, okay, we're breaking above EMAs and VWAP. We're breaking above orb. We're above a point of control. Why would I ever short that? You know, you talk about it, you're like, why would I ever short a play where we're breaking out of orb, we're above, you know, our EMA, we're above VWAP, we're above previous day point of control, we're above current point of control. You're like, why would I ever short that? So I'm going to take a long and then, you know, catch your points, catch your, you know, crumbs off that move. So agreed with that statement. And I sometimes have to remind myself to tell the story as well, to be like, okay, we have to walk through the full story of like what's happening here. And then, you know, if you can't build a narrative or a story around it, there's no point of taking the trade. Like right now, I don't really have a narrative. The only narrative that I potentially have is this inverse gap right here. Could see a potential entry at that inverse gap above previous day point of control and everything. But I do like to see a bullish gap in here. Just you know, it's a lot of risk to throw down. I want to see if one can form on our break here. We still got a lot of time though. These are 5-minute candles, so we have about, you know, 10 minutes to go. Patience, patience, patience. It's all about just waiting around. Trying to break that opening range high. It's crazy the reaction we had right up here at open, and then the support down here I guess is stronger than I had thought. I am seeing that we have equal lows down here on ES though. So on a 5-minute chart right here, equal lows. I believe it should be, yeah, like 1, 2, 3 triple lows on the 1 minute, which is kind of crazy. Something that I want to try to keep in mind here is that 1, 2, 3 lows on the 1 minute. We look at the 5 equal lows. So I do want to be aware of that. Morning, Wendy. Happy Monday. No News Monday. Patience is the name of the game on the stream today. Yeah, you know, usually price doesn't like to leave in, you know, equal lows on things. It's just like a, it's a good, magnet, you could say, or, liquidity pool. When you have those equal lows, price will tend to take them out. Not every time though, but it's always something to be aware of. So look at that wick of our 15-minute opening range high there. We'll see if we put in a gap here, a bullish gap. We'll see if this candle wants to, break above. And then we could see, potential longs out of here into new highs. It's kind of this setup is kind of what's forming right now. And what I'm seeing, if this gap gets created, which it's looking like it might just reject through. I mean, we still have 4 minutes on this candle. But that would also, this puts our stop below this inverse and that bullish. Once again, if this gap gets created. So we'll just zoom in there. So it's an important point right now. If we can break above our orb, leave behind this gap, break above 200 EMA, we'll take a long with the green close over the 9 a.m. central candle. I like it. I mean, if we close above our orb here and this gap holds right here on this bullish, so this bullish run right here, if we create this gap, I mean, I'm going to put a limit order long at 782.25, targeting new highs. NQ's ripping. NQ could also create a gap here. Oops. So, potential 5.75 risk. So let's get our contracts loaded up for this. Looking fairly good so far. We'll see if that holds. That's what we're watching. Break above previous day point of control. VWAP 200 EMA. Left behind a bullish gap. Inverse this bearish gap that originally broke us below. Good spot for a long. I'm willing to put some risk down if we can hold here. Now the issue of late is actually getting our orders filled, so we'll see if that happens. Telling you that morning coffee, Monday, trading sessions, it's the best kind of coffee you can have. Alright, once again, that entry is 7782.25. What was that again? 7782.25. Seven 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 6.50. 7776.50. All right, let me post that in the Discord. Looking to take a loan at 7782.25 on ES, targeting new high of day at 7796.25. 7796.25. Seven 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 six. Jesus, so many sevens. Posting screenshot of trade idea. Ta-da. NQ is forming a gap right here. So we're watching this as potential entry. We have a trade on ES right now, or a trade posted on ES. So this is also set up on NQ. If we get a double gap here, so if we get a double gap like so, I will move that order up into the midpoint of that double gap. If we get a double gap, so if this holds, NQ looks really good right now as well. All right, moving entry up into 7783.75. Oh my gosh, this thing's ripping. $7783.75. Put that in the Discord. NQ. Potential NQ trade would have been filled. I'm not taking that NQ trade though. All right. NDZ, are you in the trade? Yeah, nice. So 50% of this gap is also right at the opening range. So it's kind of a good little entry zone. We'll see what happens with it. It's pulling back. Sevens. Oops. It's reversing, of course, on the trade. You got time. You got a wide stop on it. Well, that's looking good. That's a good bullish close. If we can have a nice little bullish close here, I mean, my entry's still pretty far away. But if we look at it in terms of this move right here, well, I don't know. Ugh. Once again, the issue. The never any. Remember entry 7783.75. Still have that entry down. It's just, we're slowing down here, so we could see a pullback. Here we go. NDZ, where was your entry on this candle? Like that. Pulling back to our entry. Once again, entry is at 7783.75. And keeps kind of ripping through this gap. Ooh, we're kind of coming down with steam here. Close to our entry. let's see here. Oh, that would be a real shame. It would be a real shame if this goes now. 0.25 points away from our entry. .25 points away from the entry. Seriously. Oh my goodness. Well, that gold trade was not it at all. Dang. Oh my god. Literally 0.25 away from the entry, and it's just going now. Trying to remain calm, but that's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Especially if this goes to high a day. Come on, give us a sweep of that 5-minute low. It's just like that midpoint lined up with the orb, and I feel like that was just games. They just played games there and said, "Oh, you thought you were gonna get entered into the trade? Nope." Or this is games for people to chase it, and we do get the pullback, sweep out this low, and then go. Order remains until we take that high of day. Oh my god. Look at that. Look at that. Literally, what did I say? Analysis correct. Everything's correct. The biggest issue is not getting entered into the trades. They just go. We had the pullback too, and it literally got 0.25 away from the entry and is now just ripping. So that's a shame. This is going to go to high day now. Yep. Potentially time to still enter into NQ. If NQ holds. Well, I think we got to move to NQ here. Which is 870. Low 870. If we hold. If this closes within this candle, so if we get a close within this candle, I think we get our entry. Seven seven eight 3.75. That's still valid. 7783. 0.75, still valid. SPY tapped and rejected overnight highs. Make them down for that entry. Yeah, well, we'll see. 0.25. That's just a shame right there. It's just a shame. Woo! Dang. Well, do I panic enter on NQ? No. Stick to the original plan. Stick to the plan. It's either this or nothing. Bless you. Thank you. Sorry, it just was probably loud as heck. You know, we have that 5-minute CRT candle range theory here. So it could come down to take out this low, which then provides us our entry into this long into high day. It would be the ultimate patience if we come down, enter into the trade, and then it just runs to the target with me. Ultimate patience. NQ is rejecting up here. I gotta stop yawning. Sorry, everyone. It's like both like a little bit of tired yawn, but also like, you know, trading kind of like anxiety yawning. You're like, so much tense. Tense, always tense. You try not to be tense, but it's hard to not be tense. Once again, entry 7783.75. Gap that broke the orb, broke above 200 EMA and VWAP, above previous day point of control, above current day point of control. I assume the current day point of control is going to shift up here at some point. I don't know when, but at some point it will. We've been trading up here for a while. Volume is dead. So I'm hoping that since volume is dead, price will want to come down and tap me into the trade to just gather some more volume and orders, and then we can run to high a day. Or this thing, it's like, you know, sometimes on these no news Mondays, it's that like slow, choppy move up where once we make like lows, so these down close candles on the 5-minute chart right here, they just never get swept out and it just keeps moving up slowly, which is also possible. It's not looking good. Eight, 7, 0. Dang. Every time it tries to break out of this bullish gap, rejected on NQ. Just gonna avoid that. Just gonna avoid that for now. gonna go. Well, pulling that order off. We're about to take high day here. Shoot. No fill. What did I say? I knew that something was going to happen there. Like, oh, the setup's there, it's perfect, but you just don't get tagged into the trade. All the time. Happens all the time. Frustrating. Well, taking order. Wow, NQ compared to ES right now is nasty. That divergence is insane. That is insane. Dang, what a shame. Missed it by a tick. One tick from our entry. Yeah. Oh, missed it. Literally, we had our entry at 7783.75. Price came down to 7784, and then look at that move. Analysis was right. Trade idea was right. Direction was right. Just, it's just happened to not fill the trade. And we had to watch this thing go without us. The divergence right now between ES and NQ, though, is pretty wild. My brain is telling me to just impulsively enter long on NQ at that 870 area. But that's not the right move. But I want to do it. I want to just impulsively enter NQ right now and try to target the high a day. But I don't know. Is that a bad idea? Probably. If this closes back in that gap, that's insane. Oh, finally closed above. Barely broke it. I don't really want to mess with NQ though. You know, I'm telling myself, maybe I should enter in there, but we've just been rejecting up here. Just want to wait. Just wait a little bit longer. If we can retest here and show a bullish gap or something like that, I might want to look to enter, but it's pretty ugly right now. Dang, that ES trade, that's a shame. We'll be thinking about that one all day. I just usually when it's a double gap, so right here we had a double gap, I like to enter at the midpoint of it. But obviously, as you can see, price knew it. They knew where my entry was. NQ struggled right here. So NQ struggled a lot right here at that 200 EMA. So after we broke the orb with that gap, it struggled to hold and re-break it. We're starting to push below. I don't know. If we start disrespecting bearish structure, what's our hourly look like? Could potentially see selling. Especially from a lot of that resistance right there. Something to keep in mind. It's crazy how bullish ES is. Well, now ES is selling like crazy. NDZ, did you take your trade off the table? Or you fighting through this? Holy rejection. Fighting. Holy rejection off high a day. My word. Look at that. Is it gonna now tap into that? I pulled the trade off the table, but wouldn't that be insane if it just taps into here and then rips? I'm remaining patient, but and that trade's off the table. My target's taken. That trade is off the table. Dang, NQ. Dang, that's a candle right there. Are we going to sell off, or is that just a crazy liquidity sweep? And now we're going to tap the midpoint. Dang, NQ. $11 a.m. midday reversal. Remember those equal lows on ES? Is that what it wants? I mean, that's a solid orb fake out there on NQ. Is it dumb to want to short this? Let's see, hourly. That's kind of a crazy hourly rejection there. Holy shit. That's a crazy hourly rejection. This is also a fat stop loss. Eight one six. Yikes. Am I getting suckered into a short right now? Is this just, am I just doing not smart things? I mean, that is a solid displacement through 200 EMA and VWAP. Yes, we broke above our orb, but disrespected that bullish gap that broke our orb. I don't know. Just, that's a 1.3 to 1 targeting low of day. All right, doing it. Order down. Oh, 815.75 short on NQ. What did I miss in the setup? I thought the setup was valid. We just took high of day. So on SPY, well, if you add extended trading hours, like we took high of day right here. So for me, what I was watching, you know, specifically on ES, was I was only comfortable with the trade at that midpoint of this gap into high a day. And then after taking high a day, rejected down. Like, you know, especially with it being, you know, No News Monday CPI, I was expecting chop generally. So I think the less time you're in a trade, the better. Now I'm going to try to short here. I feel like in the back of my mind right now, trying a short, it's just like not smart, but here we are. Half risk on the play though. So half risk on this NQ short. And there we go, we're tagged into the trade. Targeting just new lows. We'll see if that happens. Once again, I feel like, yeah, is my original trade idea going to be the one that prints? Probably. I feel like I'm chasing a short. I don't know. I just feel like I'm chasing a short. I feel like these conditions are tricky. I'm in it, rolling with it, but feels, I don't know, risky. I feel like I'm just chasing, you know, you're chasing like the shiny object. You're like, oh, displacement down, chasing a shiny object short. Especially because we just came down to the midpoint of the opening range. But I'm trusting the analysis of, you know, our trending indicators right here. A pop above the opening range failed. So I want to see if this then wants to take out the low here. The basis of the analysis. But with like NQ being so bullish or ES being so bullish, you know, you're starting to second guess yourself. but we'll see. Once again, entry was at 815.50, or 815.75 was the entry. 815.75 was the entry. Targeting new lows at 718.75, but yeah, this is ripping. It's the Discord thing. I feel like, yeah. It's a nice reaction. Just needed to hold. If we can get below the midpoint of our opening range, that would be really nice. That'd be a nice initial push off of that bearish gap. But, you know, we've held it once now. We'll see what happens here, but I would like to see this push below that midpoint. Once we get to, if we test the previous day point of control again at 748.5 or 748.50, that's gonna be my break even level. So right here, that's my break even level. But right now we're holding our opening range midpoint. So again, I'd like to see this break below the midpoint here. Here we go. I want to see this push below the midpoint here. Once again, break even level is at 748.50. 748.50 is my break even level, which is the previous day point of control where we saw initial support this morning. So watching that level for break even, because I want to see this break below our midpoint and then just see continued strength into our low of day. So that is what we're looking for. What's ES up to? Yeah. Be careful, NDZ. Oh, he's gone. Gold's bullish as all heck. Keeps holding that midpoint. Holding decent. Break-even point is at 748.50. We just came up and retested the bearish gap. We'll see what happens. So we want to test the midpoint. I don't know. What's ES up to? Showing support on ES. Once again, original trade idea right here. Is that going to work out? Or are we bearish? You know, I guess time will tell. I went against better judgment and flipped bias to bearish, which could be a problem. I might have gotten lost in this NQ sauce right here on the 15 orb fake out where we broke our orb right into our 200 EMA and VWAP area, which is resting above our orb, and then disrespect that bullish structure that broke the orb and then create new bearish structure. And then, you know, you target the bottom portion of that opening range. That's the 15-minute opening range break fake out model that I'm taking the basis of this short. So we'll see what we get. But that is the basis of this short play that I am currently in. Break even point is 748.50, which was previous day point of control right here. So previous session's point of control, 748.50 area. That is where my break even point is. So we'll see if this sees some follow through, but holding that midpoint right now, holding that opening range midpoint. If we can get displacement through the midpoint, that would be nice. Still holding that midpoint. What are you thinking? I just want input. I don't know if you're still here, Ricky C. I'm bearish right now, so I'm in a short play. This is my 15-minute opening range break fake out model that I like to take, where when our EMA, our 200 EMA and VWAP are sitting right at that opening range high, more often than not, price will come up and have a fake breakout and then break back into the opening range, leaving behind some sort of imbalance or, inverse an initial bullish imbalance showing that, structure is flipped bearish. And then I like to just play it short down into, low of day. So this is kind of my 50-minute opening range break fake out model that I like to trade. So I'm in a short on NQ, just targeting the low of day. My break even point is at 748.50, which we're getting there right now. But this is my just 50-minute opening range break fake out model. So that's what I'm doing right now. Appreciate the gift. Thank you, Ricky. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So I took it short in this bearish gap right here. So right in this bearish gap that broke us back into our opening range and that we saw resistance off that 200 EMA. That's where I put my entry. And once again, my break-even point at that 748.50 area, that is our previous session's point of control. And we saw initial support at open off of that area. So that is my break-even point. And that is kind of what's happening. That's the basis of everything in this trade that you see right here. Yeah, and I'll post a full, whatever happens with this trade, I will post a full recap of it on, on my TikTok. So you'll be able to see it too. And once again, this could bounce from here. Like we broke above our opening range and, we still could bounce from here. And it's been holding this midpoint strong. So there's still a lot of support and a lot of support down here where, price could just go up. And ES is kind of holding this thing up as well. So ES is kind of holding NQ up. So I need ES to sell off to then bring NQ, should bring us down into those lows. But that's what I'm seeing. And once again, we're still not out of the clear here. We could bounce up. We'll have to wait and see. It's also no news Monday on CPI week. So I've just expected some volatility. So this is a half risk trade due to that. I expected some volatility today and some chaos happening in the market with a no news Monday and on CPI week. So I'm in half risk on this play, but it is the 15-minute opening range break, fake out model that I like to trade. So had to give it a shot. And then because we also missed on ES, we had a trade idea to go long at was that 73.75 into high of day, and price got one tick away from our entry. So price got down to 784 and our entry was one tick away, and then it ran to our initial target. So we missed the initial longs on ES, where I thought ES's opening range break was a lot more clean than NQ's. And then ES sure enough made new high of day. We did not get filled into that trade, one tick away from that entry, which is a shame, but we are in this NQ trade, which is showing support down here. Been holding this midpoint. Cool. Off NQ or ES. Off NQ. Cool. It had a nice push right here. That was a nice push up. Once again, this ES trade was so frustrating for me, where it was so clean. We saw it, called it out and everything, and then, it gets one tick away, 0.25 points away from the entry, and then runs to the target. So that was a shame. But now we're in this NQ short and we're showing support, which I don't like to see. I want to see this thing flush. There's a break. At least we had a break below the midpoint there. But I want to see this thing go. I want to see it hold this gap too. So we just created a new bearish gap in there. I want to see that hold. What's up, Preston? You think is going to sweep low and run long? I don't know. I mean, this hourly candle, this hourly rejection right here is pretty wild. So on NQ here, came up into these bearish gaps, and that rejection is pretty insane. Maybe it comes back down into that daily bullish gap. So if we look at the daily chart, well, we'll see. If this becomes a daily CRT, then obviously I think on Tuesday we run down, sweep this low, test this daily gap, and then CPI could just juice this thing. So we'll see. But I don't know what's going to happen today. All I know is I'm in this trade. I just want to see this thing test that point of control from last session. I guess we need patience. Yeah, the name of the game this week, and I'm told myself, and I keep reminding myself, is patience, patience, patience. And you know, patience and just be careful. It's no both days, Monday and Tuesday, no news, CPI this week. It's just patience. Patience and discipline, and you just don't need to risk a bunch. You know, just go half risk, and you know, try to get your base hits in, and then wait for CPI, and then you know the price might move better after CPI. But patience is always the game, though. You know, what's up, man? How we doing? Good, Preston. We're in an NQ short. We missed this ES long, so this was painful this morning. Had this beautiful move out of our opening range, left behind these gaps. I had my entry at 78375, and we got a tick away, so it went all the way down to 784, and then my target was high of day, and it literally ran to target. So missed the entry by one tick, and then it ran to target. So that sucked. And then we saw some huge rejection. Especially on NQ, was kind of our 50-minute opening range break fake out model. So we're in a short right now trying to target the lows on NQ. We're about to hit our break even level, which is our previous day point of control. So there's our break even level. I'm moving my NQ trade now to break even. We'll alert the Discord as well. Break even, stop move to break. Stop move to break even on NQ short. Tested previous session point of control. All right, well, regardless today, I'm done after this trade, so whatever happens here happens. We're break even, risk free, so I guess we just sit back and watch what happens and look at that reaction off of the previous day point of control. Hopefully, sellers step back in. But huge reaction off that previous day point of control. We are break even on this trade. Break even on the trade. We'll see what happens. This can break below our point of control. I think we run down to that target, but could hold it here. You trade one account or multiple? I only trade one account. I want to eventually do multiple, but I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to trade multiple because then the psychology of when you blow one, you blow all of them. So it's just and eventually that's how you you have 50K months is trading multiple accounts. But also, I don't know, it's also intense. It's high stakes. And then you blow one account of your 5, that's all 5 then. All 5 are gone. But the name of the game is multiple accounts, copy trader, all that stuff. But that's tough. I've been in the situation where you have multiple accounts and you just have a blow up day and they all go at a time, and then you've just lost all the accounts. I have a standardized risk, so I have a standard risk. So I have a standard, full risk point that I trade. So depending on how big my stop is and what my standardized risk is, that's how many contracts I trade. So it's not about contracts. It's about your pricing in your risk to keep your stats at that same point. That's how you do it. You have your max risk point, and you can either take a full risk on a trade or half risk, quarter risk, whatever you want to do, but you have your full standardized risk point where 80% of your trading is done. And based on that risk point and how big your stop is, that's how many contracts you trade. That's risk management. I feel like my stop, my break-even stop just looks tasty for NQ right now. It's ooh, let me just take that. I don't want it to be, but feels like it might be. See, ES is selling off. ES, bring it down. Bring everything down. Come on. NQ has just been, I don't know, not efficient. ES efficient as efficient gets. NQ not so much. I don't think my TP is going to hit. This looks like it's just going to go up into my entry, take me out, and then run to target, which I'm fine with. Unless this midpoint holds, so we're at the opening range midpoint. If that holds and brings us down lower, great. But this smells like a break-even trade to me. Looking for a win-win for both of us. Well, you know what? I appreciate that. There's a small gap in here that we just tested. So right in here. Well, what are we going to do here? Dang. Previous day point of control. I probably should have taken initial profits there instead of that being break-even level. Brutal, because this is ran off of that level. You know, you previous day points of control are insane support. Look at that. Well, it's a shame. Yo, there it is. Damn. Oh well. Well. Making a note tomorrow. Yeah. Dang. Well, stopped out break even. It's a shame. Probably should have taken initial profits at point of control. We're at previous day point of control. I don't even want to see this thing run to target now. But yeah, well, that's it. That was today. Kind of frustrating where missed this entry, ran to target, got this entry, got some movement off of it, but eventually stopped at break even. And that's just our day today. That's our day today. That's how it's going to go down. That's fine. We'll be back tomorrow though. Same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern till about 11:30 noon. Yeah. I stopped out of this trade, break even. Shoot. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully if you're in trades, hopefully your trades hit. We'll see what happens. This thing could just chop the rest of the day, but you know, we'll see what happens. But thanks for joining. That's it for today's stream, but we'll be back on tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard. And check the profile for trade recaps that will be posted in about 20-30 minutes. Give Bodie pets for me, of course, always. See ya.